You can have great credit, have hundreds and thousands of dollars of credit lines, and pay the bank 0 interest. Okay? 0 interest, and the banks will hate you for it. But there's enough of us out there who are not playing the game right and who are, you know, carrying huge balances every month, and the banks are gonna be like, okay, fine, you're the punk who's messing up our system, but it's okay. But there's more than enough of you out there who are carrying balances and paying high interest rates and making us rich. So what's going on, guys? This is Uche, and just leaving the post office and on my way home. Long day at work, but you know, a good day, can't complain. So, as you all know, those who've been following me, most of you originally started following me because of my content around finance, credit cards, and just my journey from having horrendous credit to having good credit. And I also kind of like decided to expand my conversation on my channel to include education, and having been in education for the past 14 years, you know, that's something that is very near and dear to my heart. So I'm not moving away entirely from talking about money and talking about credit and talking about finance, but I definitely want to have a good balance of those two things. One of the reasons that I feel like I did end up with bad credit and have gone through financial struggles is because of the fact that I wasn't properly educated about money. I just wasn't. The whole notion of money was not really talked about in my household, apart from bills and, you know, turn light off because it costs money. You know, who finished all the milk? You know, you guys are eating us out of home and house, and all those things that you hear from your parents that alludes to the fact that we need to be more responsible and not as wasteful. But no one ever sat down to me and said, let me explain to you what a checking account is. No one ever said to me until I was much older about saving. Luckily I went to college, and in college I would hear things about investments, about retirement, and about funds, about stocks, but it was so foreign because it was usually my white friends who would be talking about it, and I was too embarrassed to engage in that conversation because in my mind I just felt like I didn't have much to offer. And the other thing too is my ego wouldn't allow me to admit to the fact that I didn't know what they were talking about most of the time. And I really wish I can go back in time and relive my college years, especially my freshman year. And when I had the choice to make friends, they were either, you know, financially adept or friends who were financially inept. And you know how, you know, the old adage, you know, birds of a feather flock together, right? And because I felt uncomfortable around those who had money and understood money, I then just kind of like decided to chill with those who didn't have money. And sadly enough, it was all drawn down along racial lines, because the people around me who knew about money, had money, were usually my white classmates. But those who knew nothing about money and struggled with money and would take their work study money and their financial aid money and blow it on shopping sprees were usually typically my black friends, my black and Hispanic and minority friends, because we didn't have a guidepost to say this is what you're supposed to be doing. And I'll tell you this, my mom did say to me a lot of times, please be smart with your money, but that was really helpful because I need to know exactly what to do. And honestly, by the time I understood it or even had an inkling, it was too late. I had already gone through a phase in my life where I made really bad choices, and I was haunted by bill collectors, you know, and people calling you and threatening you, and car notes that went unpaid, and all the random nonsense that just came with just not knowing. So yeah, that was just my reality. And eventually I had to file for bankruptcy. I've shared that before. And even after that phase, I'm talking about, this is my 20s. How do you go bankrupt in your 20s? And I almost filed for bankruptcy the second time if it wasn't for the fact that they changed the laws that made it not as easy as the first time. You know, That's one thing I've learned, that once you make those mistakes, you find yourself repeating those mistakes over and over again, because you find out that it's easier to mess up and stay messing up than to do the right thing, to actually get yourself to a place where you are in charge and you are in control of the things that are holding you back. And for me, it was my finances. And one thing about money is this: it goes beyond just, having good credit and having a credit card. It goes to the fact that your self-confidence is impacted, the kind of jobs you can apply for. I remember at one point in time, a lot of my friends were moving to banking, and out of college, I was like, I'm a smart guy, and I felt like I had the common sense and intelligence to possibly go into banking, and of course with the proper training, getting your series licenses and all that stuff, I could have been a broker or something like that. But guess what? A lot of banks look at your credit report. They want to know, if I'm hiring someone, is this somebody who's going to come in here and cut corners because they need to make that money because they are in the hole, or is this person going to be somebody who is financially responsible, who's going to come in here and make great decisions for the benefit of the firm and themselves? So I knew that I literally just pulled myself out of that running. Actually, I had to apply for a position with Chase, and I just wasn't called back. I knew why I was being called back. So a lot of things like that all stem from not having good finances. Fortunately, I found my path in education, and I guess fortunately and unfortunately, education is one of those fields where no one really asks questions. Beyond having a pulse, and in a lot of cases having a pulse and just being crazy enough to want to work in urban schools, you're in. And in my case, I was in, and I thought to myself, what? This is a good career, a good opportunity for me to have a stable income. And I found myself, even in that space of being of educator, still making poor decisions. Getting a good salary with great benefits, I still was struggling, and I found myself after the first bankruptcy, messing up again and messing up credit cards, and you just get to a place where it just becomes a cycle of just bad decisions. And a big part of it had to do with the fact that I just didn't know truly how to get myself out of it, and then even beyond that, knowing how to handle it after the fact. And the fact that I wasn't educated either in school or within my home made things even that more difficult. However, I've said this over and over again, that I thank God for YouTube. Honestly, YouTube, thank you. Because if it wasn't for YouTube, I wouldn't have had access to people who are talking about it, who are sharing, creating video, creating content about their experiences. And then I was able to now kind of decipher the code. And by deciphering the code, I found myself now, doing things differently, making decisions and taking corrective steps to fix my credit. Like I've actually paid companies to fix my credit, to clean my credit up. And honestly, what I got out of it was a slight bump and a couple of things like, disputed, and most of them, not going anywhere. But by myself, I can tell you, for example, Brandon Weaver, I'll probably never ever meet you. You probably never ever see this video, but I'll tell you this, brother, I just by watching your videos, and I did buy your book with the letters. Honestly, I don't remember, but the 604 letters, 704 letters, I forget what they're called. But Brandon Weaver, follow him. He had a book, a very small book I bought from Amazon that just has sample letters. And he already talks about what you should be doing, what you shouldn't do on his videos. And even though a lot of these YouTubers, especially if their business is helping you, correct and consulting with you to correct your situation, they don't give a lot of information. But if you pause and really listen and pay attention, you'll be able to piecemeal a lot of things, because I took what he said and what other people said, and you're able to figure out what the fluff is and what the reality is. And trial and error, I'm telling you, I knocked out collection accounts. I realized the laws around what creditors can do and can't do. Learned about the fact that people out there buying old accounts and claiming to be the originators. So they're calling you saying you owe us this, when in all reality the original account had been discharged, meaning and written off, and then in all reality they're just buying old accounts for like pennies on the dollar, then coming after you for the full amount. Like, it's crazy. And then you falling for it. And I'll tell you this, if you owe, and I'll tell you right now, I'm in this place where I will do everything in my power to never owe anyone or put myself in that position again. But at the same time, it's crazy when you owe someone and the person says, you know what, I can't collect, it's not worth it anymore, so I'm going to write it off and get the tax benefits. Then some other punk shows up and says, I'm buying something that was already thrown away, you know, and then I'm going to make money off of it by terrorizing you and attacking you, calling you at your job, calling your cell phone, harassing you, and using scare tactics to try to get you to pay them. Like, that was the stuff that I experienced, that I went through, you know. And many times I mean, man, the depression you go through and the anxiety you go through, you know, because you just don't know. You just don't know, and not knowing it leaves you powerless. It's because you don't know, you fall for the okie doke. People come at you all kinds of crazy, you know. And the reality for me, I really wanted to pay. I really want to get myself out of it, you know. And but YouTube, everybody I listen to, you know, I realized that that there was so much that I could do, baby steps, big steps that I could do. And I'm telling you, once I figured it out, I went in, you know. I cleaned my credit. Like the first day that I looked at my credit on my own and said, where do I stand on my own, without anyone else touching this, from moving forward, without me not making any more bad decisions moving forward, where do I stand? And I was in the mid to high 500s, and I was like, okay, let's get to work. And literally, you know, I've gone from there to as high as 700s, and right now I'm in the high 600s, and that I'll talk about at another point. Not because I've done anything wrong, just because there's some accounts that I've had to like move around, and things that I've had to put on a particular card to take benefit of the 0 interest rate, you know, which are going to be paid off literally within 2-3 months, and I'm back in the 700s again. But even the fact that I even understand what that means and how I can use my credit to benefit me, you know, I have over, I think right now, 13 credit cards, and of those 13 credit cards, we're talking about totaling over $100,000 of credit limits within 2 years, because people like Brendan Weaver got me on track to finally get out of my mess. Then people like Credit Shifu and Sebi and a bunch of other people that I can't name, but there's too many of them that I've watched their videos in collectively, and have been able to make moves to put myself in a better position. I mean, like, listen, every time I open my wallet, I mean, for Christ's sakes, I have a platinum card in my wallet, and I remember when I used to dream and hope that one day, maybe one day I'll have that, you know. And here I am. I have 2 of them, you know. I have the gold card. I have everything, and I'm not faking it. I'm not, because I can tell you right now, I'm not in the business of fixing people's credits or anything like that. All I do is share my story, and I tell you right now, you can do it. You can go from having the worst credit in the world to having amazing credit if you understand how everything works. So but yeah, you know, it's just something I implore everyone. Whatever you gotta do to fix it, fix it. I'm telling you, whatever you gotta do to fix it, like, just understand it's not a sprint, you know. It is a marathon. You know, your marathon might be at record time, or your marathon might be you're the last one crossing that finish line. But as long as you cross that finish line, that's all that matters. Because once you get control of your financial life, I'm telling you this right now, that the sky parts, that those crazy phone calls stop. You know, you walk into a store and you can pull out your card, you know, and you know how to use your card, you know. Like I've said before, if you're paying for your life out of your checking account debit card, you are doing this all wrong, but you're not taking advantage of your credit card and the power you can grow from there, you know. Like, things like that has all come from YouTube and watching these videos. you know, and I'm hoping that what I say and what I do is impacting people out there. And I'm going to be honest with you, you know, I love all people, but honestly, I am a black man. You know, I went to a black middle school, I went to a black high school, I grew up in a black neighborhood, Inglewood, California, big ups, you know. I've lived in the Bronx as a teacher, and now I live in Mount Vernon, which is primarily a black community in southern Westchester, right above New York City. Like, I am the principal of a school of black and brown children. So when I think about the things I've gone through, I know for a fact in my heart that it is part of my responsibility and mission to live up to that old adage that says, each one teach one, okay? And all of us are responsible for teaching each other to do the right things and make the right moves. Because honestly, if we don't do that, and we let ourselves and our brothers and sisters fall, like, you're wrong for that, you know, and I'll be wrong for that. You know, I can't move around and say that I went through all the stuff I went through, then know that other people are going through the same thing for the same reasons I went through it, and say nothing. So that's my platform for YouTube, that I am really here to really speak truth to your lives and help you understand that in this country, for us to be successful and to take control, it starts economically. It just does. And you don't have to have an amazing job. You don't have to be rich. The reality, you just have to be smart and know how to not manipulate the system, but know how to play the game. But it is a game. Because I'm sorry, one more time, how do you go from having like horrible, poor credit, and in 2 years, you know, in 2 years, getting prime interest rates, you know? Like, I just got my first approval for a mortgage, you know, and it's funny because I'm thinking 2-3 years ago, that's something I wouldn't even be thinking of. But here I am, and it was like, I sent them some letters and some information, and they're like, bam, we can approve you for hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy a home. And I'm thinking, crazy, you know, because I'm still the same person. Okay, I'm still the same person. I still have the same job, but because I cracked the code and I'm able to show that I'm responsible, that I can be trusted, all of a sudden now they're saying, listen, we'll throw money at you, you know, because at the end of the day, this whole entire system and game is all about making sure that they're making money. You know, the banks want to give you money, they want to give you credit lines, but they want you to be out there spending, because that's how, and they want you to carry a balance, because that's how they make their money. Interest rates and the charges they'll charge you and all these things is how they make their money, you know. But however, they're not trying to give it away. They're not trying to give you, you know, access to credit lines and all of a sudden you can't pay, because then that's not the point. The point is to have you be part of the system so they can make money off of you. But even in that realm, I'm telling you this right now, even within that realm, you can have great credit, have hundreds and thousands of dollars of credit lines, and pay the bank 0 interest, okay? 0 interest, and the banks will hate you for it, but there's enough of us out there who are not playing the game right and who are, you know, carrying huge balances every month, and the banks are gonna be like, okay, fine, you're the punk who's messing up our system, but it's okay, but there's more than enough of you out there who are carrying balances and paying high interest rates and making us rich. You know, I know I'm kind of talking on a tangent right now, but is this one thing I'm just passionate about? I just want to make sure that we understand that you can do this. You can do this, and I'm going to break this down even more and go more into the nitty gritty of how you have to look at your finances, what you can do to even start to move in the right direction. But I'm telling you, it's not as complicated as you think. The only thing that's required is a strong will and patience and time. You know, like I said again, this is a marathon. You can finish it in record time if you're able to. Great for you. You could also be the last one to cross that finish line, but guess what? You still finished. You still accomplished your goal. So, guys, with that being said, this is Uche, and please continue to subscribe, share, like, because I want to really build a community here. I'm not Creator Street Food. I'm not Xebi. I'm not Brandon Weaver. I'm a new fan of Brian Jung. I'm none of those guys, you know. I'm very different. I'm just a regular old black man in America who had really bad credit and got control of his stuff. And also happens to be an educator and be a public school principal. So when I speak on things, I'm speaking from a place of this is what's required for us to be able to move forward and be successful. This is a part of our education that was missing, you know. And I'll tell you right now, in my school, I'm planning to really infuse financial literacy, you know, starting in the 6th grade. Let's start to build financial warriors right now, you know, because I'm going to say this last thing, you know, if you're adept at managing your finances and understanding money and economics, okay, guess what? Now you truly have political power. Political power is not about standing on the street corner and protesting and holding picket signs. Political power is about money. Okay, he who wields the biggest bankroll, I'm telling you, guess what he wants. And it's sad to say, but it's the truth. You know, I'm just imploring people to do it the right way. You know, let's not go out there and be like these people out here who are paying, you know, charlatans to get their kids into college. You know, like it's been on the news lately. You know, and people are tripping on that. I'm like, I already knew that was happening. When I was in college, I knew that was happening. I mean, I can name people that I went to college with who I know for a fact did not belong there. But guess what? Mommy and daddy had the resources and were able to, you know, grease the system to get them in there. All right. So again, one more time, please subscribe, comment, engage me in conversation, because I definitely want to impact your life and do what I need to do to make sure there's less of me out there who made those mistakes and more of the me now who's living the life that I should have been living decades ago. All right, guys, with that being said, peace out, have an amazing evening, and I'll talk to you guys soon. All right.